in the area of heaven, few of us have actually been there and come back to talk about it, right? I mean, anybody in the room? Okay. So Randy, I'm going to push back on you a little bit. What makes you an expert on heaven?
This reminds me of a phone call that one of our gals on staff took a couple of years ago where there was a film group in New York, and they were going to put together, I think it was a television show on heaven. So that they called and they said, is this where Randy Alcorn works? Yes. And he wrote that best-selling book on heaven? Yes. And so they're talking about all the details, and could he come to New York and stay and do this and all that. And then they said, now, Randy's actually been to heaven, hasn't he? And then the gal's response was, great, well, if he has, he's never mentioned it. But he did study the Bible and church history and spent 3 years researching this book, and she thinks she's making a case for this. And then they said, well, we really do want someone who's been there. So if you came tonight expecting to hear from somebody who's been there, and you grab a dessert and leave, because it's not me. But I will tell you this, nothing's more enriching than seeing what God's Word and the people of God throughout history, how they've understood God's Word and what it says in this whole arena of heaven. So the only thing that would make me somebody who can say something about heaven is having studied what God's Word says and read about 150 books on heaven, some of which were, how can I say it, junk, but many of which were good and had certain strengths and weaknesses and good parts to it. But I haven't read most, if not all, of the I Went to Heaven and Came Back books. And I'm not saying they're all bad. Some of them are written by certainly sincere people and Christ-loving people and Bible-believing people. All I would say is be really careful not to base your theology, your actual beliefs, on someone's story, whether it's a child or whether it's an adult, because there's a lot of things, even if people are sincere, that they think they experienced that they haven't experienced, or maybe they did experience it, and if they did, God bless them. God doesn't need my permission to take somebody to heaven and bring them back, but just be careful to, weigh it against God's Word and what it says.